Hello and welcome to our English news edition. Let's start with the headlines. Distressing images from the Palestinian occupied territories. The death toll rises as Palestinians are forced to evacuate and leave within 24 hours. And we will also tackle the absurd and human bias coverage of Western media, seeing Palestinian lives less valuable than others, a double-standard position strongly denounced by parties' leaders and journalists. Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman answers concerns of the members of People's National Assembly on the government's general policy, followed by press release. And 24 hours are now reduced to 4 hours and half in the flight between Algiers and Douala. More insights later on in this edition. Those were today's headlines. Genocide is the appropriate word to describe the situation in Palestine right now. The barbaric Zionist attacks continue while receiving even military aid. Against who, we might ask? Against hopeless, innocent civilians who have no means to even protect themselves. So far, no less than 2,200 are martyred, among which 724 children, killed by the Zionist occupation forces, imposing a complete blockade, an absurd evacuation operation, targeting journalists and even hospitals, just to name few of these inhuman practices still going as we speak right now. And for that, we have our journalist Manal Maafa to enlighten us about this horrifying situation.
The Zionist entity, a destruction machine that commits crimes against humanity, leaving behind martyrs, injured, and complete chaos. For the 8th day running, Gaza is still standing up to the Zionist attacks with all types of weapons amid a seriously dangerous humanitarian situation on all levels. The Palestinian Health Ministry revealed that 28 workers in the health sector were martyred, while 15 hospitals were damaged in the Gaza Strip and 2 are out of service and medical equipment are almost inexistent. Most hospitals are not able to provide basic care for the growing number of injured people. Gaza is crying out for help at a time when neither international organizations nor human rights institutions are answering. Non-stop massacres, the victims of which are journalists trying to report the Zionist crimes against humanity, and Palestinian civilians who are determined more than ever to continue their struggle until the recovery of freedom or martyrdom.
According to our correspondent Wissam Abu Zaid, the deadly Zionist airstrike hit Palestinians on Saturday. Families with their children were heading from northern Gaza to the south following the forced evacuation. The attack took place on one of the 2 roads meant to be as a safe roads by the Zionist army. The Palestinian Health Ministry said that no less than 70 people were killed while hundreds got injured. Our figures now: 2,269 martyrs, 10,000 injured, 22,600 residential units demolished, with no less than 423,000 people being forced to flee their homes due to the Zionist 6,000 bombs dropped since October 7th. Rania al-Bahri will tell us more.
Chaotic situation in Palestine. About 2,268 people were martyred and nearly 10,000 injured in the Zionist aggression in the face of the Gaza Strip and the surrounding occupied areas. These chilling figures are unfortunately set to increase in view of the barbarity and savagery demonstrated by the Zionist entity towards innocent Palestinians. On the ground, more than 1 million Gazawi are ordered by the Zionist entity to move towards the south of the Gaza Strip within 24 hours, a place devoid of house and water and food, to begin the land military operation in the north of Gaza. The Palestinians no longer know where to go, while voices are being raised around the world to denounce the aggression of the Zionist entity against Palestine and to defend the Palestinian right to independence. Despite this, the Zionist entity continues the bombings and targets hospitals, ignoring international laws. According to the UN, more than 423,000 Palestinians have already left their homes. 5,540 houses have been destroyed. Many Palestinians are already fleeing the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has linked such a displacement to a second Nakba.
In Morocco, many citizens are against the normalization of the Mahsen's policy with the Zionist entity. Several protestations movements took place in the country to show their support to the Palestinian people. These are some of the statements.
Where are all the supporters of normalization claiming that the Zionist entity can protect us, such as the communication department in Rabat, according to whom the Zionists can bring us water without praying the Istisqa prayer? You choose your camp with the Zionist entity, and this is our fight, our rebellion. We are the real Moroccan people, and we will always support Palestine.
وهذه مقاومتنا نحن أنصار فلسطين.
وقفة اليوم هي لإيصال رسائل أولا إلى الشعب الفلسطيني.
With today's protests, we want to assure our brothers in Palestine that the Palestinian cause is a national cause. We support their fight for their rights. It's the only solution to free their country. We also want to send a message to the supporters of normalization and tell them that they're taking part to the crimes committed by the Zionist occupation forces. The Zionist entity that promised to protect you can't even protect itself.
ها هي تثبت أنها لا تستطيع أن تحمي نفسها.
Shocking, devastating, awful images is what we are seeing 24 hours a day in the occupied Palestinian territories. As the death toll rises, some took the initiative to claim that Palestinian lives have no value, a double-standard position strongly denounced by party's leaders and journalists who created their own online channel to denounce the atrocity. Let's have more insights about this war with Ines Kilou.
If the Zionist entity succeeds in besieging the Gaza Strip, it will not succeed in concealing the atrocities of its crimes. Banished from the TV screens, some human rights and just cause activists have created their own online media to make their voices heard.
Hello and welcome to Palestine TV, the program dedicated to the Palestinian people and those who support them. At a time when the Zionist entity decided to completely deprive the residents of Gaza of water, food and even electricity. Those two Jewish anti-Zionist activists remind us that the Zionist entity's crimes are not new and that it is time for our countries to stop supporting this entity in its murderous madness.
Les Palestiniens ne réclament rien d'autre.
The Palestinians want nothing except applying international law to them. It is worth mentioning that since 1945, the right to resist occupation and oppression has been enshrined in international law, whether it is peaceful or armed resistance, and that its international community, which immediately speaks of terrorism, has more than 50 years granted punishment to the Zionist entity, which destroys houses and carries out extrajudicial executions on a daily basis.
Maison fait des exécutions extrajudiciaires, vol des terres.
We must understand that the population's resistance in reality is unprescriptible right, in the same way that we will never prevent people from defending themselves by any means that can befall them.
Internet platforms are an effective means of circumventing the censorship imposed by many traditional outlets and are an efficient and an effective means of conveying information in real time. After the bombing by the Zionist occupation forces, these residents of the Gaza Strip shared via social media the living conditions of the Palestinian people since October 7th, 2023.
The street are calling for ambulance, but there is no ambulance.
Unfortunately, they didn't give me the right to be part of this demonstration supporting Palestine, so I was expelled from my city because I am part of humanity. Since the massacres of Palestinian civilians began, only a small number of senior politicians who were able to condemn these despicable crimes. In France, the proud leader of France does not mince his words and condemns the policy of double standards, positions that earned him attacks from several political parties and many media outlets.
Nous qualifions de crimes de guerre ce qu'Israël est en train de faire contre la population de Gaza.
We call what the Zionist entity is doing against the people of Gaza war crimes. France is a free country. It says what it wants, how it wants, when it wants. If it wants to fulfill the only office it has in this circumstance, which is to offer mediation. You cannot be a power of peace if even before you have begun you are a stakeholder and a condoner, giving complete freedom to the other, because if we are in the fight against terrorism, if we are in the clash of civilizations, if we are in the list of good against evil, then this means opening up to the right to vengeance. Revenge is not the law.
Resistance to fake news is being organized on social networks and various online platforms, and it begins to bear fruit, which allows the crimes committed against the Palestinian people to be revealed to the whole world.
In other news, Prime Minister Ayman bin Abd al-Rahman listened to the concerns of the MPs of the National People's Assembly relating to the government's general policy. In a session chaired by the President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, in the presence of the government's members. Manal Maafa with more details.
Prime Minister Ayman bin Abd al-Rahman listened to the concerns and the grievances of the MPs of the National People's Assembly relating to the government's general policy during a session chaired by the President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, and government members. The statement presented to them last Tuesday was the subject of lengthy discussions, which included 337 interventions by representatives of all political formations and parliamentary blocs. Questions were presented by the government within the framework of the 5 chapters of the statement, which included comprehensive numerical indicators for the period of September 2022 to August of 2023, indicators that showed growth reflecting significant progress in the fulfilling of the commitments of the President of the Republic and continuing to support social policy despite the difficult international economic situation.
فمسعى الحفاظ على القدرة الشرائية يظهر جليا من خلال تطور مبلغ التحويلات الاجتماعية المباشرة التي سيرتفع من 2714 مليار دينار جزائري سنة 23 إلى 2895 مليار دينار جزائري سنة 24، أي بزيادة تقدر ب 181 مليار دينار جزائري، والذي يعادل 19.17% من ميزانية الدولة لسنة 24. نذكر منها مبلغ 580 مليار دينار جزائري لدعم مواد الحليب، الحبوب، الزيت والسكر، و163 مليار دينار جزائري بعنوان الربط بالكهرباء والغاز والمياه، ناهيك عن دعم السكن الذي يقدر ب 313 مليار دينار جزائري. كما اتخذت الحكومة عديد الإجراءات من أجل استقرار الأسعار بالرغم من الظرف الدولي المضطرب.
In his statement, Algeria's premier said that concerning the issue of the citizens' purchasing power, it is of utmost importance to the President of the Republic and the government through the social character of the state, regardless of the financial and economic conditions. The effort to preserve the citizens' purchasing power will rise from 2,714 billion dinars in 2023 to 2,895 billion dinars in the year of 2024, with an increase of 19.17%. In the same statement, Prime Minister said that the government has not prevented importation but framed the process, and the economic operators are called upon to move from import to local production and move eventually towards export. There is no return to random imports, and the annual storage capacity of grains and vegetables will be increased. Measures will also taken to maintain the abundance and stability of red meat prices and reduce the tax on its import from 30% to 5%. It was decided to import white meat and provide a security stock to maintain its reasonable prices during the month of Ramadan. In line with the instructions of the President of the Republic, Ayman bin Abd al-Rahman revealed that it was decided to permanently lift the freeze on promotion in the public service, which had been frozen since 2014, and that for the benefit of more than 280,000 employees who meet the conditions, with a total financial impact of the process amounting to 29.6 billion Algerian dinars. He also stated that 2 years ago, unprecedented projects were launched, a strategy that included all vital sectors, namely industry, mining, irrigation, agriculture, housing and public works. Achieving water security for the citizen has become a reality through large projects that have been launched and others that will be launched soon. Finally, Prime Minister added that the basic law for employees belonging to the national education sector will be released before the end of the current year in accordance with the instructions of the President of the Republic that he gave at a meeting of the Council of Ministers.
On the sidelines of the session, the Prime Minister, and in a press release, stated that all the important achievements are guided by the President of the Republic instructions, while reaffirming Algeria's will to diversify economy with transparency and follow-up operations. 4 hours and a half instead of 24 hours with many stopovers thanks to the new direct flight between Algiers and Douala. It's more than an airline, it's a strategy to strengthen the economic relations between the two countries. Malika Khalifi and Yasin Hamdi.
The Air Algérie plane finally landed at Douala's international airport in Cameroon. This new airline between Algiers and Douala will strengthen the relations between the two countries, especially in the sector of economy. We've been waiting for this flight for many years. Before, it took us 20 to 24 hours to reach Algeria with other airlines. Today, thanks to this direct flight, it only takes us 4 hours and a half.
Je dis waouh, parce que c'est magnifique.
It's amazing.
Parce que nous avons souffert le martyre les années antérieures où il fallait, avec certaines compagnies, avoir un visa de transit.
3 flights per week are scheduled. The Air Algérie company started selling the tickets in all its agencies and online. This new line will allow the Algerians living in Cameroon to fly directly to Algeria and win time. We will have other discussions with the Cameroonians for a partnership in the maritime sector. This direct flight will allow Algeria to be more open to the African continent and to strengthen the bilateral relations.
Let's talk now about this race that took place on the occasion of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, organized in Bouchawi province with the objective of accompanying cancer patients and to remind them that they are not alone, that the path of healing can be difficult but achievable. Coverage by Rina Lurari, commentary by Rania Al-Bahri.
It is 9 a.m. and already around 100 participants have gathered at Bouchawi Forest, ready to take part in the Pink October race. With pink t-shirts, they are ready to run for a good cause and support women in their fight against cancer.
It is a lofty move to help women motivate themselves to fight this disease and support them in their battle, and also to raise awareness for the early detection of this disease.
We have made this awareness campaign on female diseases, not just breast cancer, but also uterine cancer, endometriosis, and raising public awareness against these pathologies.
We're present at Bouchawi to organize a pink marathon to inform people about feminine diseases, and it's the 5th edition that we organize.
After 3 kilometers, the first participants crossed the finish line. Men, women, young and old, all gave their best. For some, it is their first participation in such an event.
It is the first time in my life that I'm doing a race, and seeing this event, it's clear that I must participate because I'm a woman.
We are here today to stand together with those who are affected by this disease. For the same occasion, it was a challenge for me. It is the first time that I have run 3 kilometers.
I came first in the child category. I took part in this race to support women with cancer and wish them a speedy recovery. Every step counts, and every kilometer is a symbol of hope for these fighting women, as this race represents commitment and support for those who fight against cancer with courage.
All right, that was it for today's news. Thank you so much for watching. See you tomorrow.